Cool
Robbie,
sweater.
pardon?
I like your sweater.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I
It's
think,
like a style that I like New England kind of thing.
yeah. I love the texture of it.
That's what I love texture in general in films and life. So anyway,
I
what's
appreciate
up?
It's great to talk to you. Thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it. The Outwaters is a trip, man. That is just it is just a fantastic ride. And deeply unsettling.
Thank you. I'm glad that you found it to be deeply unsettling because that was my goal. Um,
Under very
one of
few
my
circum.
goals.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I said one of my goals. One of my goals.
There aren't a lot of circumstances where that works, but it fits here. um, what was it that made you want to tell this story? Where did the Outwaters come from?
It came from the word outlands, which is a favorite word due to its poetic nature. And then I like the ocean and rivers and swimming. So I was like, outwaters would be a cool word. And I was like, oh, that's a great film title. And then I was like, oh, I have to make it like because I that's a great title. So I have to like make sure I make that and no one steals it. So the story and images and everything came from thinking about the word that I made up. That I think I made up. I mean, all I'm aware of after the movie, after I was finished with the movie, I was aware that I became aware that there are people with the last name Outwater. So I'm sure it does mean something in some other original language. I could probably just ask like some of the people. But anyway, that's where it came from.
I rarely have I heard a story where somebody says, "I had the title first." Where they make something fantastic, and like this actually plays out beautifully from that. Um, and and
Thank you. I
frankly,
love a good title.
you love a good title.
I just wanted to live up to the title.
I understand.
I
Um,
mean, is it not the best title? One like so good. Like I just had to live up to it, so that's how it happened. Anyway, I'll shut up now.
no, not at all. I mean, yeah, absolutely, it is. It genuinely drew me in right off the bat. And you know what? There hasn't been a good found footage film in some time. There really hasn't. It feels like the genre is sort of sleeping on us again. Um, what was it that made you want to film it that way?
Uh, Practical necessity. I knew I could do it on my own. I needed to make a movie, but I also, the original Blair Witch Project is not just one of my favorite horror movies. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's such a piece of cinema. So ever since that came out, I wanted to like I immediately that the summer I think it came out in the summer. Immediately after it came out, I was shooting stuff in the woods with my friends, like trying to do something Blair Witchy when I was like how old was I? Like 13 or 14 or something like that. So I've always wanted to make one. Um, and then it just so happens that I was broke and could afford to not afford to make a movie.
Well, that may lead into my next question then, because I mean, this movie is playing in the dark a lot. Was that a cost issue, or was that intentional to shoot in
No,
the dark as much as possible?
yeah, you know what's funny? There's so much of it. There's a lot of it horror wise in the daytime. Like
Hmm.
a lot of it actually. There's a lot of darkness, but that was more just story stuff. I mean, I could have shown everything in the light and I could have found ways to make that scary too. Like I think some of the parts that are in the light are. But I also like for me one of the scariest things is swimming in the ocean at night.
Hmm.
And so I wanted parts of the film to feel like you're swimming in the ocean in darkness, knowing that there's sharks around you and like undertows and like stuff like that. So it was very much, it wasn't a cost thing. I could have made whatever, you know.
Well, it really plays on the natural fear of just being in the wilderness. Well, and then some. But it taps into that. So it works beautifully. Working,
Thank you.
yeah. I was wondering, like now, when I didn't realize that you were in the film as well. I was just wondering, like, as you're making this, what was it like developing it? Like, did you have a straight up vision of what you wanted right off the bat? Did you have a script? Was it more like properly working or cooperatively? I mean, cooperatively developing it with your cast.
There was always a plan, and the improvisational nature of a lot of it was always part of the plan. So when I say that, like, there was lots of exploring and lots of freedom, and um, I don't mean that that it wasn't planned that to be that way. In terms of the characters and the cast, I did kind of just want us all to be versions of ourselves, but with a little bit more backstory than some things happened to us in the movie that didn't really happen to us in our past. But other than that, I wanted my friends' personalities to shine through, because I love them. So I thought cool people will love them too. Maybe I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it feels very natural. It's like natural in the supernatural, if you will. Just the
It's
relationships that are
important
going
for
on.
found footage.
Sorry?
I just think it's important for I think it's important for found footage to feel like real people, and so that was one of the very first things I wanted to make sure I got right, just having it feel like actual humans.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Um, I don't want to say too much because this is a film you sort of need to be dropped into. I love the slow burn aspect of it. Although it's the film is a slow burn with quite an opening. It's off the bat where you're ending, and it's at the same time you have no idea you're going to get there. It's it's pretty great. But I'm wondering for you, and maybe you sort of spoke to this as well. What scares you? Like, what is it that as you're building this together? What scares you personally?
Death, um, camping at night. I mean, I love camping, I seek it out, but I do get creeped out. The vulnerability that comes with no protection from the elements. Um, Looking through a bedroom window at night when you're on the ground floor and trying to fall asleep scares me. Swimming in the ocean in the dark, um, that stuff. So that said, like I do seek out adrenaline, and I do things that scare me regularly. But I am a scaredy cat.
Your own film may not help that.
Oh, yeah, so yeah, no. The only times I got scared while making the movie while camping, I would have been just as scared if we were not making this movie and just camping, because it's always scary to fall asleep when the only protection you have from external forces is like a thin piece of fabric. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I read this book called A Strange Piece of Paradise, and it was a true story about these women that were attacked while camping on a cross country bike trip, and it was a nonfiction, and ruined that book, and then the movie Backcountry like ruined feeling comfortable while camping for me.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Robbie, it's the film's an absolute wild ride. It's really well done. And just as we're running out of time here, but just I was wondering, what do you hope people take away from their time with the Outwaters?
Um, I I I hope they felt something I hope they felt like they had an experience or were scared or I like I want to I like being tossed around or moved or I hope they had some kind of emotional reaction or physical reaction to it other than like hating it. Like that would suck because then you feel like you wasted your time. But like yeah, I hope they got a little scared or found like in they felt like they saw something maybe a little bit new.
Absolutely. And I'm sure anybody who watches it will. I know the film is in theaters now, in some in theaters
Yeah,
now. Is it today?
opens today. It's limited release. Obviously, if people see it and it gets good word of mouth, it can expand. But if you want to see it, now is your chance. I don't know how long it'll be out. Could only be out this week. Could be out. It depends on people wanting to see it or not. But um, definitely good to see in a big theater for a first time, especially as we go into it not knowing what to expect. That could be a wild time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking that as well. Actually, I was thinking, although this isn't a film of grand scope, it's a very tight film in terms of its visuals, but it's one you want to see in a theater with a lot of other people and sort of experience together. So, um, Robbie, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I wish you the best.
I appreciate you. Thanks. Thanks a lot. It was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks again.